For anyone who's seen the brilliant film Barbarian, hopefully this is going to work out better than that. But let's go and have a look at my studio. They keep me in the basement where I can't disturb people. I store things down here. Oh, look at that. This is a chalkboard where I spent a week in darkness right here making the chemtrails video. It's quite damp, so there's a dehumidifier. I've got instruments to hand so that I can play them, and I practice drums down here as well, and also that electronic kit gets used to demo songs. I practice pad, playing guitar, and here's mainly where I do stuff. I work on a Mac Mini from 2020, so not particularly old, not particularly young either. New, I think that's how you refer to things, not as young. I work on Logic Pro. I have done for a long time, actually, since Sorry Thank You. I was a Cubase guy before that, but the person who co-produced that record, Jim Warren, he used Logic, and in order that we should be doing the same thing, I got into that, and I've used it ever since. It's a great program. I do all my stuff on the Universal Audio Apollo, which I've had for a long time. Made lots of records on it. Exact Opposite, Sad Song Co. Did some stuff with former bands and with other people on that as well. I've got some outboard microphone preamps and a few other bits and bobs. At the moment, some of them aren't even turned on, but they get used for drum tracking. The whole thing's DIY, so everything's racked up. I've wired it all myself as well. I do all my soldering here, so the whole studio is wired by me. I've breathed in an awful lot of fumes, but it means I can just unplug a couple of things, stick the front on, take that wherever I need to be, run it off my laptop and record anything. So I would go to Andy's and we would record there with that gear. I went to a rehearsal room where I recorded all the drums, and Jace would usually come to this basement to record his parts. I've just got everything within easy reach. I can grab a guitar and plug it straight in and get a sound quickly. I've got my keyboard right there. So it's it does double duty as a writing space. So when I'm trying to think of something really quickly, I can just get it down before the moment passes. But equally, when I'm doing stuff more seriously, I can sit here and focus. This is actually the final session for You Got It, and I mixed it down here. Just because of the room having quite a low ceiling, I do a fair amount on speakers, but they're old Behringer speakers. Behringer? Somebody tell me. So I do actually a lot of mixing on headphones. My feeling is actually quite a lot of people listen to music on headphones now as their main way of enjoying it. I thought it would be interesting to have a look at You Got It, from inception to how it got to what you're listening to today. This is the end point, but let's go back to the beginning. The very start of the song, I remember it clearly. It was quite a while ago because I was still living in Kidlington near Oxford, and Jace was coming around just to muck around with some music. I remember it clearly because 2 or 3 minutes before he was due, and I was just idly farting around on the piano, and I played that piano riff. I remember it because at that point he arrived and I rushed out, and normally, of course, I'm very polite, but I beckoned him in and I said, "Hi, can't talk," and rushed back and played it and then recorded a little bit of it so I wouldn't forget it. And over the course of that day, that day, I say it took like 20 minutes. We recorded this version. Jace came up with a gorgeous guitar line, I think I played the bass on this version. Yeah, we never found a place to get that guitar part in. After that, we took it to a rehearsal, put together some just recordings, on voice notes. So we've got a few versions of that from a church hall somewhere halfway between me and Andy. And at some point, we'd structured it into something vaguely like it is now. So then Jason and I would have gone down to Andy's, and at one of our writing sessions, we would have kind of nailed it down a little bit more, and I think I would have recorded it with, basically between the three of us playing it live. Andy playing guitar, me playing piano, Jace on bass. Recorded that onto this system here, brought it home, and then I would have added the drums from the electronic drum kit, maybe worked on the piano a bit, maybe added another guitar, I forget. And at that point, we ended up with a demo that's kind of close to what the final version is going to be, but without any words. At that point, I would send that back to Andy. He's got a small recording setup of his own. He's in the basement as well. What is it about musicians and basements? And then he added vocals to it, along with lots of backing vocals, which some of which were stuff that either me or Jason had come up in the rehearsal room, but quite a lot he would just work on the orchestration himself at home. So that would have been something we all agreed on, and I could then use that as a template for the drum recording. It would give me a guide for what I was playing. So on one side, I knew what the structure was, but that's kind of less important than the feel. I would have the guitars that Andy had played, which often determines the vibe of a track. And what Jace was doing, it's important. It all feeds into what I'm going to do. And then I as I mentioned, I went to a rehearsal room, Glasshouse Studios near Oxford, set up all of this gear, mic'd everything up, and went through the songs. And this was one of them. I would tend to I'd record 3 or 4 takes and then just put together the best bits, as I've done here. Recorded everybody else on top of that, get the bass in there, get the guitars on there. I went back to Andy's and we recorded lots of guitars and all the vocals. And then I would bring it back here and give it a mix. The FabFilter Pro Q3, that gets used on almost everything. It's just an equalizer, more treble, less bass, that kind of thing. But it's a great tool. And there are other equalizers that do equally great things, I'm sure, but I'm just really used to it and use it really well. I don't tend to go absolutely mental with effects. As you can see, it's rare that there's loads of stuff on there. I try and record things so that they sound right in the first place. The other thing that gets regularly used, though, is the PSP Vintage Warmer. It's a compressor, but it's quite crunchy and characterful, particularly on drums. I'll kind of mix all of the individual drum microphones and then send them through one of these and sit on it quite heavily, and that kind of gives it that forward. I like drums to be slightly aggressive, even when it's unbelievable truth. It's not aggressive in the sense of System of a Down or something like that. It's aggressive in the sense of that's what it sounds like in the room. And you stand next to drums, they're so loud, and your ears are going, mercy. So to give it that sense of kind of reality in a way, that's how I like to approach drums. A little bit of reverb. I mean, it's not even like there's loads of different reverbs. I've only got 4 different ones. One for Andy's vocal, actually, and then a delay for Andy's vocal. And then some acoustic verb, and then a different one for the backing vocals. That's it really. There's a couple of things on the drums, and mostly it's about just trying to get the volumes right, get the EQ right so things aren't crashing into each other. I'm not a brilliant mixer. I've always known that, and if we had the money, I would have given it to somebody else to do, but we didn't, so I had to do it, and I think it sounds good. In fact, I mean, I'm happy. Everybody's happy with it. It's not that we feel like, it could have been better, but Nigel had to do it. It's more, I think it just took me longer to get to a place where everybody was like, yeah, than it would have taken for someone who was actually good at this shit.